Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another weekly rewind. This is week 11, and unfortunately, this week Jake is out sick, so I'm going to be going it alone for this week as we prep for the holiday games on Thursday. So, hopefully, everybody has a great holiday and we can eat a lot of food and maybe watch the Lions win, huh? Well, so without further ado, let's get into the matchups, huh? First, we're going to start off with Lane and Greg. Uh, yeah, sorry, Greg. You're looking like you're not going to be on the rewind for a little while, buddy. Laner put up 155.24. Greg did not break 100 this week. His highest score was his kicker, Tyler Bass, who was also the highest scoring kicker of the week, so at least you have that going for you. But man, Rondale Moore, -6 rush yards, and that's it. He must have got hurt pretty early, I would think. I didn't catch that game, but yeah, 2 plays. Okay. So that's tough. Hopefully you'll have him back later. Russ did not do what you wanted him to do against the Raiders. I think last time he played the Raiders, he had a decent game. Yeah, 28 points. But this was oof. DPJ had a solid game. Got your touchdown, which is really what you want. Dameon Pierce was terrible against Washington. Wow, Washington just shut Houston down. He had nothing going for him. 10 carries, 8 yards. Yeah, I mean this is just I don't know. It's a bad offense against a solid defense, and I guess that can happen with Dameon Pierce. We hadn't seen it this season yet. You know, he's been pretty solid, very consistent. But yeah, I don't know. Washington shut him down. I guess Houston was probably throwing the ball a little more. I know Davis Mills, quarterback, was having a rough time because I had him in one of my teams. So pain. JT was fine. You know, I mean, Philly's a good defense, so you can't really argue with 16 points. I think you take that. He gets a touchdown. Hawkinson had 8 points, which is fine for fantasy. Hawkinson's been producing pretty well for Minnesota, but if you watch that game, he made a lot of mistakes and he should have had more points. He was bad. He played very poorly. So hopefully his usage stays where it is, but things can change when you play poorly on the field, huh? Kenyon Drake, pretty mediocre, but it was 13-3. What do you expect? The Jets defense was solid. On Lane's side of the ball, yeah, it was pretty successful, honestly. Dak had a good week. They just dominated Minnesota. Coach McCarthy at it again, helping Green Bay out. You know, first he's losing to Green Bay, and next he's beating Minnesota. And it's like, man, this guy misses us. Amon Ra, good game. Myers, probably one of his worst games of the season. Yeah, it's 7, missed a couple of games. Yeah, pretty bad for him. But that game was a stinker, 10-3. Tony Pollard absolutely blew up, carried Lane's team big time. 42 points, and I'm pretty sure Zeke played in this game. I mean, Dallas had their way with Minnesota. I'm pretty sure Zeke had a good week too. I think they both just ran all over Minnesota, so that's interesting to see. Swift, I think his usage was still pretty low. Yeah, 5 carries, 3 catches. I know he was upset recently about his usage. He got the touchdown, so he kind of saved your week there, but I don't know if I'm starting Swift. I'm not excited to start Swift. He's been pretty sad. And I know the Giants have a solid defense supposedly, but I mean, you put up 31 points, yeah, I don't know, that's tough. And they play Buffalo next week. I'd be afraid to play them against Buffalo. Hayden Hurst was Hayden Hurst. Ayuk was continuing his success. I mean, 2 touchdowns. So I mean, he just had 2 catches, which is a bit concerning, but he's been producing fine previously, and I don't know. The Niners probably didn't have to throw the ball too much in that game. Young Wei Koo was great. Baltimore's defense was excellent against Carolina. I'm pretty sure I saw that Carolina's starting Sam Darnold this week again, so we'll see how that goes. The benches. Greg's bench was actually solid. Montgomery, pretty good game. Cooks was okay. The Muth was good, but I don't know if you're starting the Muth over Hawkinson. With Hawkinson's recent performances, he's been pretty good. I saw that Chase might play this week. Is that true? He was limited. He saw game action. Yeah, week 7. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I saw reports saying that Chase could play against Tennessee. So we'll see if that's true. But if that is the case, then hey, maybe we will find Greg on a rewind soon because it looks like Rondale's not it. Um, on Lane's bench, Najee actually had a good game. That might be like his first good game all year. Yeah, first time he busted 20 points. First time he's busted 15 points. So the Steelers offense actually put up points that week. They still lost, but yeah, it might give you a little bit of confidence. I mean, Najee's not a worse start than Swift is at this point. They're about the same. If Swift starts getting his usage back, I mean, yeah, Swift could be the guy, but man, I don't know. Interesting decision for now. Waller on IR yet, and Deontay's been pretty sad. I don't know what's going on in that offense. So, good win for you, Laner. You got to update your name, dude. 6-5, you're gonna be making the playoffs, unless you slip, in which case then you can leave your name the same. Next up, we got Brandon and Jake, this is the real reason that this is the real reason that Jake didn't want to be on the pod today, because he put up 89 points against the superior Jorgensen. And I believe I wonder if I can zoom in here. This is a photo of Brady Jorgensen walking Jake. That's some pretty good content right there. And honestly, Brandon put up a pretty solid game. 134. Can't argue with 134. I think that probably beats most teams. Yeah, it's middle of the pack this week. Above average. And most of that is Josh Allen slipped because Brandon's team went off, honestly. I mean, Adams and Amari Cooper both had excellent games, 2 touchdowns apiece. When that happens, I mean, especially when you do that against Buffalo, when that happens, you probably win your game. And he's lucky it did happen because Dalvin and Mixon were both pretty disappointing. I think Mixon got hurt in that game. Yeah, concussion. He's probably not going to play this week if he didn't practice today. Usually when you're in concussion protocol, you have to practice on Wednesday, at least limited. Otherwise, you're probably not going to be playing that week. I forgot about that game. Dalton Schultz was pretty bad, but Dallas really wasn't throwing the ball when they could do whatever they wanted on the ground. Sutton was good. It's good to see Sutton bouncing back. 13 points is fine. It's nothing crazy. But 2 weeks in a row now after the bye week, he's double digits after 3 weeks in a row where he was just bad. So it's good to see that at least. Butker, cool. Cincinnati's defense. You didn't really expect Pittsburgh to put up 30 points, but yeah, disappointing from them. Lamar and Josh Allen, not what you'd expect. You'd expect them to be similar, but maybe not around 12 points. Did he get hurt in this game? Missed practice with a hip injury? He'll probably be fine. Stephon Diggs played poorly, as Josh Allen does. Keenan Allen, first game back. It's good to see him have a decent game. 1 fumble. Doesn't look like they lost the fumble, though, so that's good. Eckler, good game. Hunt stinks. I don't know who the fuck this is, Jake. McKitty? Trey McKitty had 5 points last week, but does he not? Oh, Goddard's on IR. Why didn't you play Njoku? I mean, who cares, I guess, but Njoku actually played. Who the hell is this guy? Jake, come on, man. You have some explaining to do in the chat. And you have Everett on your team. Why do you have 4 tight ends, Jake? What the fuck? Okay. And Tony got hurt in that game, too. I don't remember. Hammy. Yeah, I saw reports saying he's missing time. Tony might be done for a while. He's been nursing that hamstring for, it's been like 2 years now. Since he's been in the league, really. So Jake's going to have a flex decision to make. And I agree, it might be Danny Dimes' season because 27 points again. He had a good week last week too, didn't he? Yeah, 21. Plays Dallas this week. Hey, we'll see how it goes. Michael Carter was terrible against the Patriots. Yeah, there's nothing else of note on Jake's bench here. Brandon's bench, Smith was pretty solid. Pacheco, pretty good to see. I think I saw that Clyde got put on IR for his ankle injury. So Pacheco is probably going to get a bit more usage. Whether or not it'll be productive is another thing, because honestly, he doesn't really look that great, in my opinion. But Hines can probably be cut. Yeah, Zach Wilson, I don't believe is starting this week, so maybe Garrett Wilson will be released. You know, you'll be able to see a bit more from him again, because when Flacco was the quarterback, he was producing pretty well. Patterson, I think, returned in I want to say it was a punt. Could have been a kickoff. One of the two. And other than that, he was bad. So I'm not starting Patterson personally. Brandon will miss. He'll love to have Waddle back for sure. Yeah, that's about it. Let's do Nick and George. George didn't start a quarterback. And he says, damn, 6 plays. Oh, man, no way. Is that the full name? Damn, 6 plays. Fuck's sake, George. So George doesn't start a quarterback. Gino was on bye. You had Rodgers. I mean, yeah, you don't want to start Rodgers, but fuck, you had him. Oh, we played them on Thursday, though. I'm guessing he wanted to play Kyler, and Kyler got ruled out for that game. Hey, shoot. That kind of stinks. But also, it's totally your fault, George, because you have multiple defenses on your roster and 4 quarterbacks in your team. No, 3 quarterbacks, sorry. Yeah, I mean, poor team management here from George cost him the L, and he probably would have lost anyways. Nick B had a huge game this week. Jalen Hurts was solid. Hopkins was great. Terry McLaurin, meh. Kind of doing what Terry McLaurin does, really. I mean, he's kind of hanging out in that range, seems like. Good game occasionally. McCaffrey, decent. Ramondre, continuing his production. I mean, 14 points and your team puts up 10. That's pretty good for a running back. Kelsey carried. Kelsey had a fantastic game. 3 touchdowns, 115 yards, and that Chiefs dub on, I believe it was Monday Night Football. Gabe Davis, totally fine. And the Patriots defense, excellence. Oh, their one touchdown was a return for a touchdown? Like a kick or a punt? I didn't know that. Jeez. Yeah, so there was no touchdowns in that game on the offense from either team. Gross. And on Georgia's side of the ball, I mean, Jefferson was terrible because Minnesota got shut down completely. Christian Watson kept his dominance going. That's 5 touchdowns in 2 games. He's got 21 points. He's probably in your lineup until further notice, honestly. Unless you got somebody else to play, and it doesn't really look like you do. Cup's on IR, so yeah. You don't even have another receiver on your roster, George. You had to flex a tight end. What are we doing? I guess it's Higbee. You know, with Cup missing time, Higbee should be all right, but I'm not trying to flex him. And Clyde's on IR, so you could switch him with Kyler. Kyler's probably in your or Gino. Yeah, shit. George, your team's in rough shape, man. The trade deadline's dead and gone. You're gonna have to do some waiver wire shit if you're gonna try to survive, because this is not a very good 5-6 team with the injuries you have. Because Cup's gonna be out for a couple weeks yet. Yeah, I think he's supposed to come back the week of Green. Oh, it looks like they're projecting him out until that's like the championship game of our fantasy league. He's expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, shit. You're not gonna have Cup rest of the season, George, unless you make it to the championship game, in which case maybe you will. So you're gonna have to figure something out there. As far as the game goes, I mean, Josh Jacobs was good. Josh Jacobs has been good. Yeah, good for him. Singletary was good. Mark Andrews was fine. You're flexing Higbee, but he was okay for a tight end. Carlson was fine. Saints defense was meh. Yeah, George, he's got some stuff to figure out, because that 5-6 record might not stay there if you're doing shit like this, George. And I'm pretty sure he was like a top 2 team at one point in this league. Yeah, the wheels fell off, man, after that trade. Good thing you traded for Jefferson, otherwise you'd be fucked with no Cup and no Jefferson. All right, let's go on to a little bit better of a game this week. Me and Preston going at it. Although Preston made this look a little closer than it really was. with George Kittle playing. Oh, this was the Monday night game, I think. It was either Monday or Sunday night. But yeah, Kittle, he had a fantastic game to kind of keep Preston in the loop because it wasn't really that close. Fields, oh, fuck you, Greg, dude. I traded him a 12th, and I mean, I traded him Brandon. I think it was Brandon Cooks, right? Who I didn't really care about. I have plenty of receivers, but I traded him a 12th round pick for Fields, and Fields gets hurt like halfway through the game. So it sounds like he might be playing this week, but either way, I'm probably going to bench him because I think Herbert has a pretty good matchup this week. Yeah, he plays the Cardinals. I'm fine with that. So Lazard was fine. Higgins was pretty good. With no Chase, I imagine Higgins will stay pretty good. Although if Chase is back this week, we'll see. Kamara, mediocre. And I think they play San Fran this week. I'm thinking about benching Kamara this week because of that. We'll see. It feels stupid because you never bench Kamara, but also James Conner's been solid. I mean, he did 12 points against San Fran, 20 the week before, and I plays the Chargers. Something to think about. Henry kept his dominance going against Green Bay. 2 touchdowns. One of them was a passing touchdown. That was pretty cool. Dawson Knox was good. Olave was excellent, which is good because I was terrified when I saw that I had benched Robinson for Olave. I forgot that Kupp was out, and I saw Allen Robinson on my bench having a good game, and I was like, ah, shit. But Olave ended up coming through for me. Made the right call there. Man, Brett Maher was fantastic. 1 point shy of top kicker of the week. And Tennessee defense was fine. Joe Burrow, 4 touchdowns, 35 points. Yeah, for a quarterback that doesn't run the ball, you got to throw a bunch of touchdowns to be relevant in fantasy. So Burrow did that. Otherwise, I mean, he had CeeDee Lamb, pretty sad. I mean, like I said earlier, Dallas wasn't really throwing the ball. Wandale had a good game, but now he's on IR. I don't remember, knee injury. Oh, yeah, he tore his ACL. So good production there from Wandale, but now Preston's got to figure something else out. I mean, he's got Mike Evans and Tyler Lockett, so he'll probably be fine there, but tough when a rookie like Wandale, who's looked pretty good on the field. He had a fantastic game going against Detroit. Tough when you see a guy like that go down. Aaron Jones, meh. Chubb, pretty bad, but he played Buffalo, so what do you expect? Kittle, like I said, was really good. Kmet was fine. It seems like when Fields goes off, Kmet goes off, and the fact that Fields didn't really go off this week, kind of, Kmet was okay. Justin Tucker, second best kicker in the league apparently, because Brett Maher fucked his ass, Preston. Oh my God. Best kicker, he says. Tried to trade me. Some kickers. Preston, get out of here. Buffalo defense was honestly pretty bad against the Browns. Jamal Williams on Preston's bench had 3 touchdowns, but only 24 points. I say only 24 points. When I hear 3 touchdowns, I kind of figure that's a 30-plus game. But I guess there wasn't a whole lot going on apart from that and a little bit of rush yards. He must not have caught like any passes. Hollins was fine, and yeah, that about does it. So huge win for me there because I was 4-6 at the time. I absolutely needed to win that game to stay in the hunt. So I'm feeling good about that. Hopefully we can keep the chains moving. Preston, maybe I'll kick you out of playoffs, buddy. Although right now both of us are out of the picture. Pain. And last game of the week, which I feel a bit dirty calling it the game of the week because, well, I mean, just look at the scores. But, I mean, it was definitely the closest game. And I'm sure there was some sweating going on. As Cade embraced the tank, one of the higher scoring teams in this league, threw up an absolute stinker. I mean, he's projected for 85, and he outproduced the fuck out of it. So kudos to you. Most of that was on the back of Jimmy Garoppolo and Treylon Burks having excellent games. Lemons, I mean, Mahomes did his job. Debo did his job. Zeke was fine. But that's it, man. Saquon stunk against Detroit, which is really not good to see. I mean, the guy had 22 rush yards against the Detroit Lions. I think he had a bunch of carries too. Yeah, 15 carries, 22 yards. To me, that's concerning. I mean, Detroit's defense is terrible. I don't know. The fact that that's a possibility for Saquon is a bit scary, but you're never benching him. I mean, look at what he's done all season long. Everybody gets a game, I guess, but it's tough to see that kind of usage and 22 yards off of it. Man, a couple catches saved him, I guess. I mean, it doubled his fantasy day, but yeah, that's a tough one. Gibson was all right. Kyle Pitts had a okay game going for him. He's on IR, so yeah, my trade with Lemons, I gave him Pitts, and I don't remember what else. I gave him Pitts, and he gave me Mike Williams. Yeah, that hasn't worked out for either of us. Pitts is on IR. Mike Williams re-injured his ankle in that game. It's tough. That was a lose-lose trade. On Cade's side, Garoppolo and Treylon had good games. That was about it. Damian Harris was fine. Everybody else was pretty bad. Benches, yeah. Pittman was okay. Yeah, that's it. Lemons has a pretty beat up team, and it hurts when Tyreek's on your bench on a bye week. Darrell Henderson got waived and picked up by the Jags, which I don't really know how to feel about, honestly. I mean, it's a pretty ugly backfield, isn't it, with ETN? Didn't they bring somebody else into? Oh, I don't remember. I'd have to look that up. I want to say they brought somebody in after they got rid of James Robinson. But either way, he'll be splitting time at best. I mean, he's worth a roster spot probably, but you're gonna have to take the wait and see approach for him. See what happens. So yeah, I mean, Lemons keeps rolling, but man, this game doesn't really inspire the team, huh? Let's see, Jags running back depth chart. Oh no, they didn't bring anybody else in. JaMycal Hasty's the other guy. So yeah, he should be number two. Uh, I don't know how much value that'll be in the Jags offense. I mean, James Robinson and ETN when they were both on the team, they were playable to be fair. You could flex. James Robinson was kind of dominating that backfield though at the time, but we'll see how it goes. Take the wait and see approach and see what happens. I think Watson should be back, yeah, after this week. Oh, jeez. So, I mean, you're not going to be playing him though because you have Mahomes, so it doesn't matter. I mean, have they had their bye week yet? Yeah, you're good. Just ride Mahomes. I mean, well, don't ride him, but stick him in your lineup. Do whatever you want in your free time. All right, let's check the league standings, huh? This is a pretty big week for everybody. We've got Lemons and Nick B still 1-2. They're very close together. Those guys are locked in, confirmed for the playoffs. They've got the little asterisk next to them. They've clinched a spot. Oh. So, yeah, kudos to you guys. I mean, they both have $90 and $95 in their waiver budget yet. They can pick up whoever they want. They're ready to go. Fighting for the bye weeks. Yeah, they'll probably both get it. And then we've got a few 6-5 teams that have the advantage to make the playoffs. We've got Brandon, Jake, and Laner. Brandon seems like a lock with that points for. You'd have to have a Cade level losing streak with a lot of points for. You'd have to go on a pretty tough losing streak to get knocked out of the playoffs here, Shiz. Jake, yeah, I mean, 1,400 points really isn't that fantastic. A lot of teams below him are beating that. And Laner, second lowest scoring team in the league, you're gonna have to get there on wins. So you're gonna have to keep it moving, Laner. Meanwhile, it's me, Manthai, and George at 5 and 6. We're fighting for that spot. I have a big disadvantage with the points for, 1,300 versus 1,465 and 78. I mean, I'm gonna have to get there on wins too, I think. So that's going to be tough. But a big win against Preston keeps me in it. And let's see. Well, Lane had a free win. Brandon and Jake was actually a big one. Because if Jake wins that game, he's feeling really good with the playoffs, and now he's in this hunt here. One loss, and it puts you down in this group. And yeah, Cade's effectively out of the playoffs at this point. I mean, he's technically he can still make it for sure because we've got 12. I think we go all the way to 14, so we've got 3 more weeks, I think. So mathematically, Cade's still in it, but he's basically out of it. And Greg playing for fun, Hope he'll probably keep the first pick. Good for you, Greg. So there's your standings. Starting to get a little tight down here. There's a lot of teams fighting for those last 4 spots here. 6 teams fighting for it. Yeah, we'll see how it goes, huh? The top players of this week, Joe Burrow on Preston's team had 35.7. Tony Pollard on Lane's team had 41.9. Devontae Adams had 36 points for Brandon. Kelsey had 38.5 for Nick B. And Tyler Bass on Greg's team had 23 points. Top score on Greg's team and the kicker. And the defense was Washington's defense, which was a free agent this week. Still is, I believe, at 22 points. So nobody really benefited from the defense, but there were a couple defenses that pushed that mark, so they were in lineups. As far as transactions go recently, let's see what we got going on. I know there are no more trades. The deadline is passed. The last trade of the league was Fields and Cooks with that 12th round pick. That's tough. Hopefully Fields comes back. I have Herbert, so it's not that big of a deal, but tough to see a 12th round pick get burned like that. Let's see. So November 18th would have been that Friday. I scooped up Allen Robinson in a $30 waiver. I wonder if anybody else even bid on him. Yeah, a couple $5 bids. That seems like a waste of money, but I would have imagined George would have bid a lot more on Allen Robinson with Cooper Kupp going out, because he's probably going to be in my lineup. He had a great week. 15 points, can't argue with 15 points. Not against the Saints. Marshawn Lattimore's pretty fucking good. So let's see. Saints defense got picked up. MVS, Odell got picked up again. We'll see where he ends up going. There were talks with Giants. I think the Cowboys were talking about bringing him back. So a bunch of teams that he used to play for are talking to him. We'll see. We'll see where he actually ends up going. Justin Watson, whatever. There's the Trey McKitty. Yeah, Justin Watson gets jumped back down there. Colt McCoy got picked up. Well done from Nick B. Oh, Nick B's playing some defense on George. Is that what that was? We're going to have to look into that in a sec. I scooped up Miami's defense, apparently. I don't remember that, but cool. Oh, that's for this week. And Latavius Murray, because Melvin Gordon got waived, which means Latavius Murray's the guy this year for the rest of the season. I'm sure they'll bring somebody else in. I'm kind of surprised they didn't bring Darrell Henderson in. But, yeah, I mean, he's going to be the lead back on that team. Felt like a value there. Just scooped him up for free, no fab. P. Ryan, because Mixon's concussed, he'll probably start this week. I would think Mixon would be back the following week, but who knows these concussion protocols. And Cam Akers got picked up because Henderson got waived. Kyle Pitts got cut. Attaboy, Mike. Pain. Indianapolis, Kansas City, and Juwan Johnson got scooped up all in the last couple hours. And first let's check this Nick B defense here. Did he play? Was that George this week or this past week? Loved it. Yeah, excellent work from Nick B there. Wow, that's tactical as fuck. Very well played. Picking up the backup to Kyler so that George can't pick him up. He screwed himself. Yeah, that's George. You played yourself, man. I mean, shoot, you could have cut Clyde for a quarterback. Yeah, you do whatever you want, man. But yeah, there you go. Nick B playing some expert defense. That's why he's tied for first place in the league. Kudos to you, Nick B. All right, let's do these matchup previews, huh? Starting it off, me and Cade this week. Oh, how did we do last week on picks? Got mine right. Got Lane's. Oh, I did something. I went back through because Jake was asking me, but I think it was Jake. had asked how my record was for the past, however, throughout the season for my pick percentage. And I'll throw this week in there real quick and see how we did. All right, so I got this one wrong. I got mine right. I got this one right. And I got the lemons one right, but that was what the hell? Okay. And I got that one right. Okay. So we were 4 for 5 this past week. That puts me at 48.5% correctness. So after the 0-5 start to start off the season, we bounced back in a big way. We have had one perfect week so far, and most of them have been like 2-5, 3-5. They've been around there. So yeah, not too bad. 48%. Oh, that's pretty bad. But hey. All right, anyways, let's get back to the matchups. All right. So, Thanksgiving week, we've got 3 Thursday games this week. We've got, what is it? Detroit Buffalo is the early game. Dallas and New York is the afternoon game. And I think Minnesota plays in the late game. I can't remember who they play against. The Patriots in the late game because it's Kirk Cousins prime time. So, make sure you bet on the Patriots. Yeah, this matchup, it should be a win for me. It should, right? I mean, Cade's embracing the tank, but his team still scores a crap ton of points. I mean, last week he had a tough week, but I mean, his team scored way more points than I have so far this year. So, the lineup isn't very scary. He's got Chuba, Damien Harris, Michael Gallup, Tyler Boyd. If Chase is back, then Boyd kind of has this thing going where every now and then he just drops stupid points when he scores touchdowns. Garoppolo had a fantastic week last week against the Cardinals, but now he plays New Orleans. That's a tougher defense to play. Hopefully he won't do the same thing. I'm trusting Herbert to do the same thing that Garoppolo did against the Cardinals last week. I'm trusting him to do it again this week. But yeah, right now I have Kamara in my lineup. I was thinking about swapping him out. Oh, it looks like I got Connor. I worked Connor in there anyways. I pulled Olave earlier today. So we'll see if that stays. But anyways, I got to pick myself to win here. If I lose this game, I'm basically out of the playoffs. This is a must-win game for me. Cade doesn't need the win. In fact, he'd probably prefer the loss just to get that better pick next week or next season. But yeah, there are a couple guys on here. I mean, Tyler Boyd, Michael Gallup, Robert Tonyan can all have big games. Chuba Hubbard can get a couple touchdowns. Denver's defense is pretty good though. I would be surprised if Hubbard had more than 10 points, especially with these past couple weeks. So, yeah, hopefully we'll be okay here. Although, Cade does have some fucking guys on his bench. Hopefully he's doing that on purpose because I don't want to play against Kenneth Walker or A.J. Brown. Nah, I don't want to do that. I like this lineup better, Cade. Keep this. Embrace the tank. Next up, Greg and Nick B. Oh, Nick B's got his bye week this week, unless Greg has something to do about it. Let's see. Is this a trap game? T-Law against Baltimore. Baltimore's been struggling, but their defense really hasn't been, I don't think. Yeah, he's scared himself out over us. Understandable. Pain. Nick B. Jalen Hurts. Yeah, it looks like Greg agrees that Chase might play this week. So if Chase plays this week, hey, that could be interesting here. Hopkins has been looking real good. DPJ, Tampa's not the best of matchups, but I think Donovan Peoples-Jones has been pretty solid. Yeah, he's been totally fine. So, yeah, I could see him outscoring Terry McLaurin here because McLaurin hasn't really been that inspiring. You gotta take McCaffrey over Pierce. I had to take Ramondre over JT with what the Cowboys running backs did to Minnesota last week. Man, you really have to think that Ramondre could, even if he does half of that. I mean, shit, Pollard had 40 points and Zeke had close to 20. So, yeah, I like Ramondre over JT, honestly. Kelsey over Hawkinson, of course. Monty over Gabe the Buffalo plays Detroit, which is good and bad because Detroit's secondary is terrible, but also if Buffalo gets up big, I could see them running the ball most of the game. We'll see. Hopefully those early touchdowns go to Gabe Davis if you're Nick. Montgomery had a good week last week. I think it was a tough matchup. No, it was Atlanta, never mind. So, yeah, the Jets is a much better defense. I mean, they're not world beaters by any means, but they're solid. Yeah, that's a toss up to me. Gabe Davis is so inconsistent that it could totally be Gabe Davis, but if he has his down week, then it'll be Montgomery. I'd take Gabe Davis for the upside. Whatever kickers, whatever defense, although Chicago defense, if Fields doesn't play, hey man, nice. And if Minnesota plays how they played last week, you've got primetime Kirk Cousins, and the Patriots defense is actually good, so I'd be a fan of that. The bench, you got guys, Nick B. I'll give you that. I mean, fuck, Jeff Wilson on the bench, he's been pretty good lately, and he plays Houston, which is an excellent matchup. There's an argument to be made to slip him in there, but I don't know. Maybe for Gabe Davis, I'd consider that. Detroit matchup is juicy, though. Yeah, Greg's bench, not a whole lot going on that you really care to see. Sorry, Greg. Yeah, I'd love for Greg to win this game, but nah, I just can't do it. I'm sorry, Greg. Taking Nick B. We've got Brandon and Laner. Brandon's gonna have to update his team name, and hey, both you guys, I better be seeing both you guys updating your names, especially you, Lane. Fuck is why even try, dude? You're 6-5, man. Get that garbage out of here. Josh Allen needs a bounce back, and Detroit's the matchup to have it on. So, we'll see how that goes. I know Detroit likes getting embarrassed on Thanksgiving, so. Tua has a Houston matchup, which is just as juicy, and that one's at home. And Tua's for sure healthy, at least. I mean, Josh Allen's been dealing with that elbow. Devontae's been on a tear, and Seattle's defense is fine, but Devontae Adams is going to do his thing. Amon-Ra, the Buffalo matchup is tough, but they'll probably be throwing the ball a ton. So, you'd like to think Amon-Ra will be okay in this one. Cooper, Godwin, same game. I don't really care about either of those guys, honestly. I mean, can I not get the weather forecast? Yeah, Godwin's been fine. Cooper's been pretty good. Every now and then, Cooper has this bad week, and those seem to be the weeks Brandon starts him. I know Brandon started him this past week. That might have been one of the first times he's successfully done it. But yeah, I think Cooper's in your lineup. Cook, Pollard. Pollard's been excellent lately. With Zeke back, Pollard shouldn't do what he did last week. And I know Zeke played last week, but I mean, Zeke and Pollard both had days against Minnesota. The Giants' defense is much better. This is a short week. Pollard could still he could totally have a good week this week, but I can't see 40 points again. Not against the Giants. Oh, that'd be tough. And Dalvin Cook, that's a tough matchup against the Patriots. It's Dalvin Cook, so you're starting him, but man, am I afraid of that matchup. And Mixon, I don't think Mixon's playing this week. But whoever you put there will probably outscore Najee. Well, I say that. Miles Sanders, Alexander Madison. It's not Madison. It's not Hines. Pacheco. You better hope Mixon plays. Because that's tough. It's probably Pacheco, honestly. I mean, Pacheco's been the guy. 16 to 15 carries past 2 weeks. You can't argue with that. And the Rams defense is scary, but it's not what it used to be. It's Pacheco for me. And you've got Cordero Patterson too. It could be Cordero for the touchdown upside. Because Patterson could totally get you 2 points. I don't know. It depends on how afraid you want to be here. Because, I mean, your team's projected for 140. You should be winning this game. Jalen Waddle's excellent. But if you're trying to play it safe, I'd play Pacheco. But if you're trying to get a big game, I'd play Patterson. Christian Kirk doing his thing, staying excellent. 2 weeks in a row, being a stud. So, pretty good game. This is actually a huge game too. Both 6-5 teams. Laner gets a win here. Lane needs a win here because his points for is pretty weak. I need Lane to lose this game. Give me Brandon winning this game any single day of the week because I believe Brandon had, if I remember correctly, a pretty good points for. Yeah. So that'd be a big one for me personally. So go Shiz. Let's see. Manthai and George. This is a big game too. Both 5 and 6 teams. Manthai. Okay, he hasn't checked his team yet. I mean, Wandale out obviously. I imagine Aaron Jones will play, but Philly is not a good matchup. He's in play anyways because he's Aaron Jones. But man, Mike Evans will get the field. Lockett will probably go. Yeah, Lockett will slide into the flex. And this is a okay. Well, let's see. Tack on what 25 points maybe this projection makes it an interesting game. 133, 132. Geno Smith's in the lineup. Jeff Watson. George needs Watson to keep rolling on touchdowns because that's been Watson's only claim to fame is those touchdowns. If he doesn't have those, I mean, shit, half his catches are touchdowns the past 2 weeks. He needs that to keep continuing. Josh Jacobs has been great lately. He needs that to keep going. Singletary should have a good week against Detroit. You would think in my opinion, the only way Singletary doesn't have a good week against Detroit is if Buffalo's trying to keep the injury bug off of him, because I know Singletary's had those problems in the past. And they start playing some other guys if they pick up a big lead. But you'd like to think that Singletary will punch in a touchdown in this one. There should be plenty of them going around in that game, I would think. Mark Andrews against Jacksonville is a very good matchup. Rachaad White over Fournette. Interesting. Has he been good? Yeah, pretty good week last week. I know Fournette should be back this week, from what I heard. He probably won't be 100%. That's a make or break decision right there. Because if Fournette's the guy and he has 20 points, you're screwing yourself over. But also, if you're right, shit. Yeah, I think I saw the report was that they'd ride the hot hand, so it's a 50-50 in my opinion. I think Fournette's... yeah, I'm fine with that. Do what you want, George. As far as who's winning this game, Mantha, I think Kittle's the player to watch here. Mantha needs a good game out of Kittle. If he gets 5 points out of Kittle, he's going to be SOL. But if he gets 20 points out of Kittle like last week, yeah, then you got to feel pretty good about that, huh? Not a whole lot going on the bench for either team. Man, that flex spot is a tough one for George. I respect the decision, honestly. Kyler could be in your lineup here though, over Geno. Geno's been really good, but Kyler will have to get out of the IR, and you'll put Clyde there, and everything will be happy. This is a tough one for me. Manthai's got some tough matchups going on. Joe Burrow, Kittle, Jeff, Justin Jefferson on Thanksgiving, Christian Watson. Man, give me George. This is a tough one though. This could go either way. Give me George. And let's move on. Last game of the week. We've got Jake going up against Lemons. This is a big one for Jake here. You know, well, I mean, it's a big one for both teams, but it's not that big of one for the league standings because Lemons loses this game, and Nick B will probably pop into first because I think Nick plays great this week, right? Yeah. So this is a big one for Lemons if he wants that first place spot. Now that there's a huge reward versus first and second, they both get a bye. And Jake, you lose this game and you're still in the hunt. You're doing fine. It's not what you want to see because you'll probably drop into that group of guys beneath you. But if you win this one, you're locking yourself in pretty much. You're in a very good spot. Now Lamar's been struggling. Jacksonville's a very good matchup. We'll see what happens there. Mahomes will probably do what Mahomes does and have a great game. You have to think that Stephon Diggs blows up against Detroit. You have to. This is the Stephon Diggs week, man. Tyreek Hill, same thing with Houston though. In which case, Debo or Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's back. Arizona's pretty easy to throw on. Nah, Arizona's okay to throw on. Debo. Ew, double Chargers. He's hoping for a big Chargers week. Saquon against Dallas. Eee. Give me Gibson over Hunt. Everett over Juwan Johnson. I don't think Tony's playing this week, Jake. You're going to have to find a new flex. And he doesn't really have one. Michael Carter, not really what you want to see. Yeah, give me lemons. Pretty handily in this one, I think. Because I don't think Tony's playing this week. Everett's been dealing with a little bit of injury, but he'll probably play, right? He'll be inactive, but he practiced Wednesday. Yeah, he'll probably play. So, yeah, give me lemons this one. Yeah, he just has way more depth. I mean, any like Zeke, Thielen. If Jake had either of those guys, they'd be sitting in the flex right now, and they're probably gonna be on Lemons' bench. You gotta believe that a team like that can handle Jake. Actually, Jake probably would have loved a bit of Cam Akers. Jake, you should have picked him up. But hey, what can you do? So that rounds out the matchups for this week. And that'll do it for the Rewind. I hope everybody has themselves a good Thanksgiving, eats plenty of food, drinks plenty of beer for the USA versus England World Cup game on Black Friday, 1 p.m. for those that don't know. I'm pretty sure it'll be on Fox. Yeah, so have yourselves a good holiday. Happy Turkey Thursday, and we'll be back at it next week. Hopefully Jake will be recovered. Who knows? Maybe Greg will be back on. We'll see. But thanks everyone for listening. Once again, happy Thanksgiving, and see you guys next week.